Hello YouTube fam, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home, and DIY projects every single week. If you've been following along with my basement makeover series, you guys know that I've started my workshop build. So behind me was kind of part one of it. I built this DIY wood scrap cart, which I seriously love still. And in my latest video, I showed you how I took an old thrifted dresser and turned it into my dream workbench. And now today we are going to finally wrap up the workshop makeover. As you saw, I did sketch up my plan for the space, so I'm very excited to make it happen today. Before we get into it, I did want to thank Bridge for sponsoring today's video. I'm seriously in love with my new mattress, so I will be talking a little bit more about that later on. But for now, I'm going to show you what we're currently working with and my plans for this space. I wanted to show you what the basement looks like right now so you can kind of get an idea of the layout, but over here is the workshop. And then over here is the entire living area. So this is actually going to get partitioned off, so you will not see the back of the workshop when you're in the living area. So all that blue that you see over here is only going to be on this half of the basement, and then this part is still going to be white and bright, and that way I can continue filming in here. So this is what we're working with. As you remember, I made over this whole section. It was covered in wood. It was a really bad situation, so if you missed that makeover, I will link it here. So far, I've kept up with it and it looks great, and now I just have a bunch of tools everywhere, so those are going to be hidden away in storage. And then over here we have this murder mystery scene. I have all this plastic up so that it can protect all of this area away from the sawdust. So it does look a little bit scary right now, but through here is going to be the main area of the workshop. And if you guys remember, we redid the dresser. It looks amazing. I love how this came out, but this is going to be in the middle of this room, and this back wall is primarily where I plan to film the rest of my projects in the workshop. So this is kind of what I'm focusing on today. As you can see from the other side, we still have a lot of work to do. I have all of these tools just laying around. I would really like to get this all sorted out because it makes me so stressed out looking at this. And what you didn't see also is like this giant pile of paint on the floors. So we have our work cut out for us, but I know we're gonna make it work and it's going to look amazing. In my plan, I wanted to have a bunch of drawers so that I can organize everything. So I'm gonna head over to IKEA and see what we can find. I did have a couple of pieces in mind for this project, but we'll see what we end up with. I always go into IKEA with a little bit of an idea of what I'm looking for, but I also just love walking around and just getting a little bit of inspo. They always show such fun ideas on how to maximize storage, which I definitely needed for this space. So I was looking at different dressers. For the most part, I want to organize everything in drawers, so I landed on the Tarva dresser and we're gonna bring this home with us.
Done.
How does that work out?
Well, Tina forgot to hit the record button.
Oops.
But here you go. Just know, once again, I opened the box incorrectly.
It was very stressful, guys. Okay, leave your guesses below on how long you think this is gonna take us. It is 2:38 right now, so let's see. As you can see, IKEA's Tarva line is made with unfinished pine, which makes it really easy to customize. And even on their website or in stores, you'll see that they encourage you to customize these pieces however you want. So there's a lot of versatility with this collection, and I wanted to get 2 of them to really add tons of storage to the space. At this point, I really thought that we were pros at building IKEA furniture, but this dresser definitely has to be the most frustrating piece that I've ever built from IKEA. Because you have to go off of only pictures and no written instructions, we did mess up a little bit here and there, but also a lot of the hardware was just not fitting into the pilot holes. So I did struggle a little bit with that, and honestly, this probably took way more time than it should have. I'm sure we've all been there, and if you share my frustrations, leave them in the comments below. I want to know what was the hardest piece of furniture that you've built from IKEA. That way I can prepare myself for next time if I ever choose to build any of those. Okay, last drawer is going in. It's done! Okay, both of the dressers are done. I think that took a little over 4 hours. I'm gonna call it a night, get some rest, and I will see you guys in the morning. Good morning, guys. I just woke up feeling so much more refreshed and ready to tackle the next part of this project. Honestly, last night was a little bit frustrating because of that IKEA build, but I'm back and feeling so much better. I wanted to take a moment and talk about Birch Living, who is today's video sponsor, and as you can see, my beautiful mattress is in the background. You might already be familiar with Helix mattresses, but Birch is basically a brand by Helix, and their focus really is all about environmentally conscious sleep products and mattresses. It is a mattress in a box company, so it got delivered straight to our door and we were able to unroll it and just set everything up for ourselves, so it made it super easy. What I really like about Birch is that their mattresses are non-toxic and they are also made right here in the US. Everything is sustainably sourced and is crafted with organic and natural materials. That was something that was really important to me when choosing a Birch mattress because I know that everything is organic. So I know that the mattress that I'm sleeping on is made of raw materials sourced from nature, and it's really durable and also very comfortable. And not only has this mattress been better for me, but it's also better for the planet because it doesn't release any dangerous emissions. All of their mattresses are made without harmful chemicals, so there's nothing getting released into the air, and that's something that is super important to me. Right here behind me is the Birch Luxe mattress, which is actually a premium upgrade to their already well-loved natural mattress. We've been sleeping on it for a few nights now, and I already feel the difference in my sleep. I really love it, and Brian loves it too, and it is just so comfortable, and I can't recommend it enough. If you're on the fence about getting a mattress online, they actually have a 100-night sleep trial. That way you're able to test it out. They really want to ensure that you love your mattress, and if for whatever reason you don't, you can actually get a full refund and they will pick it up for you, so there's no risk involved with buying it. I really love our mattress and I think you guys will too. So if you're in the market for a new mattress, you can click on my link down below or go to birchliving.com/TinaLay. That'll get you $400 off of your mattress as well as 2 free pillows. I think that is an amazing offer, so if you would like to check it out, make sure to click on it down below. All right, so now back onto the makeover. Okay, gotta get rid of this. Gonna need a pry bar. I think it's just held by brad nails.
Stepped on a nail. That's not great. I'm not a trained professional.
Clearly.
Let's see what this does. That one's gone. It's down here.
Yeah.
It's connected from the bottom.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh. Pull down.
Yeah. Oh.
Trained professional.
Guys, we're seeing them in a month. Guys, it's been over a year since we moved in, and I think at this point we've painted about 90% of these gray walls, and it's just so crazy how it instantly brightens any room. And to be honest, I feel like I've been in a little bit of a creative rut this week, so painting over these walls really just gave me the fresh start that I needed to go into this workshop makeover. Even though I've done so much to this basement, I feel like there's just so much more that I need to do to get it to where I want it to be, and I think that's part of the reason of why I've been in this rut. I want to take my time to make it super functional for what I need it for, and I really hope that you guys have been enjoying the entire makeover series so far in the basement. Your positive feedback just means so much to me, and it really does help me complete each of these projects every week. Alright, so while I wait for that to dry, I'm actually going to get a head start on this cabinet right here. I'm going to go ahead and prime all the drawers. All 12 of them. This color seriously makes me so happy, you guys. I love it in my entryway, so I know that I'm just going to love it in the workshop. Whenever I see the Tarvaline at IKEA or any of their unfinished wood pieces, I always think to myself if people buy them and leave them as is, or if people buy them and plan to paint and DIY them, because there's just so many ways that you can customize this piece. You can add some trim or caning or even wallpaper to it, but of course I'm just choosing to paint it and keeping it super simple. Since the workshop is going to be in an area that's going to get really messy really quickly, painting it is just going to be the easiest way to clean it. So let me know in the comments how you guys would DIY this dresser to suit your home. I would love to hear your answers. Moving on, I wanted to create a faux little cabinet, kind of like the previous one, to cover the meter. I feel like the placement of the old one looked a little bit awkward, so I want to make one that's going to hit all the way against the wall. I made a little plan, so I feel like I know what I'm doing, but honestly, I'm kind of just putting it together and seeing if it works or not. So I have this wood right here. It is pretty thin because I don't want to cover the light on the ceiling. Fingers crossed that this comes out well. Let's get started. So basically, to build this cabinet, we're building a simple box with some pre-primed pine. That is so hard to say. It literally is a tongue twister, but as you can see, I'm just gonna start by cutting everything down on my miter saw. And I needed this to be quite narrow so that it doesn't block that light on the ceiling. So each one of these pieces are only 8 inches wide. This cabinet is really only for looks. Its sole purpose is to cover the gas meter. I really don't plan to store much in there, so it doesn't have to be super fancy. I also did cut out a little notch for that pipe that goes into the ceiling, which is just so lovely looking. And when I was originally planning this wall out, I wanted to do shelves to cover the meter, but that was just not going to work with what we have going on here. So this cabinet was just going to be the best solution. Next, I'm just drilling pocket holes in with my Craig jig, and this is going to allow us to make really strong joints for our box. And then with some wood glue and pocket hole screws, I just put it all together. It is always so satisfying whenever you screw 2 pieces of wood together and create the perfect right angle. So I was glad that this was working out really well, because I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I was winging it a little bit when I first started this project, but once I got going, I felt a lot more confident, and I really was excited to get this project done. We built a box, you guys. It is a new day and it just feels so good in here. It feels so much brighter and happier now that the walls are white. On my list today is to create a pin board, which I plan to put right in the center right here. And then I also need to finish the cabinet and then cut in one more time, because for whatever reason, whenever I cut in on top, it just needs one more layer because I can still see the gray underneath. So that needs to get taken care of. And then the last thing we're doing today is we're going to the Harry Styles concert. Yesterday, Brian actually surprised me with tickets. I was totally caught off guard. He's playing in Chicago for 5 nights, but I didn't get tickets the first time they were sold, and I just never got the tickets, so he surprised me and I almost cried. It was seriously the sweetest surprise ever, so I'm really excited to go tonight, but before I can even do any of that, I need to make sure that I at least finish some of these projects. I'm gonna go grab my supplies and then we can get to building. Alright, so I want to build a pin board, but not just any pin board. I of course wanted to put my own DIY spin to it, so I want to make it an arch pin board. Not only is it super trendy and stylish, but it also breaks up a lot of the right angles that you're going to see all in this room with the dressers and the cabinets. So I think this is really going to break up the room nicely. So I found this MDF board that was in my scrap pile. It's going to work perfectly for the base of our pin board. And to get started, I'm just going to map everything out, make sure that it looks good, and then we can cut it out with our jigsaw. So my arch is going to be a little bit wider on the bottom, so to sketch that I first use my DIY compass to draw a circle. This is basically a scrap piece of wood that I made with 2 holes on it, one for my pencil and then one for my nail or my screw in the middle. Then from there, we're going to connect the sides to the edges, and I kind of just freehanded it a little bit because doing a straight edge just did not look right. And to ensure that it was symmetrical on the other side, I just traced it onto a piece of paper, and that way I can use that as a template on the other side. And voila, we have our arch shape ready to go. To cut this out, I'm using my trusty jigsaw, and with most projects with curves, I wanted to make sure that I got a smooth cut, so I'm using a scroll blade in here. I always recommend using a scroll blade when you're cutting out any curves because it's just going to give you the best finish. And also, as a side note, you can totally use a thinner piece of MDF for this project. I'm just using what I had on hand. It is a little bit overboard because you definitely don't need this much support for the foam, but it's all I had, so it'll do. This arch is looking really good, and the best part about this is that you don't have to sand it if you don't want to, so I'm not going to sand it because we're just going to cover it up anyways. For the actual pin board, I'm using some foam insulation. You can just buy these boards and you can get them a lot bigger as well. I just got what I needed, and I think I'm gonna start from the center. That way there's like no big crack in the center if I want to pin it down. So I'm gonna glue this, and then we're gonna cut off the excess off the edges. To keep the foam in place, I just used some hot glue and I pressed it down until it cooled. And for this whole project, I was able to just use 2 of the boards. You're gonna see that I'm just moving it around and gluing it where I see fit. I have it flipped over here, and you should be able to cut it with a utility knife, so let's see how this goes. I do not like that noise. Cutting this foam is really easy, so I ended up using a utility knife / box cutter just to get my arch shape. This foam is really dense, so I found it to work perfectly to create our pin board. I think it looks more expensive because it's thicker, and I also found it to be a cheaper alternative to using a roll of corkboard, especially for a large size like this. Okay, so I just found out that Harry's show has been rescheduled, so we're not seeing him tonight, but that just means that I have more time to work on projects. So this arch came out really good. And then right on top, I have some drop cloth. You can just get this at the Home Depot. You can really use any type of fabric that you want. I just chose this one because it was easiest to get my hands on. It's pretty affordable. Can you guys see that? There's a little bit of multicolor in it, and I really love that. So this is a great option. So I'm gonna start stapling this to the back, and it's gonna be a little bit trickier just because this is curved, but you should be able to cut it and then fit it around the corners. With any upholstery project, you want to start on one side and then work on the opposite side, so you don't have to worry too much about getting it super taut. But when I did get to the curved part, I basically just pulled at the edges and then stapled it down about an inch from the last staple. It's gonna start bunching up in between each of the staples, but we're going to go back in later on just to flatten those out, and that'll ensure that the sides are as smooth as possible. You're going to repeat this process around the entire board, and once you get those corners down, all you have to do is to cut off the excess and our pin board is done. Ta-da! Oh, I love it. It almost looks like a headboard or something. This is so cute. Using up even more scrap material in my stash, I found this really long piece of MDF to create the doors for the cabinet. So to start, I measured my cabinet and subtracted about 1/8 of an inch from the sides so that there's a little gap in between the doors, and I basically just cut that down with my circular saw. To give these a little bit of detail, I went ahead and cut down some extra trim that I had laying around, and we're going to create a shaker style door. So you basically want to cut 2 vertical pieces that are longer and then 2 shorter pieces that are going to fit in horizontally. I wanted to take a second here to be honest with you guys, because even though these doors are pretty beginner friendly, it took me about an hour just to muster up the courage to actually cut them. Even though I've worked on countless DIYs in this house, I still get intimidated by projects. Sometimes I can just overthink things, but once I get started, my confidence definitely builds up again. So if you're watching this and if you're a beginner to DIY, just know that everyone starts somewhere and it's all a learning process, even if you're a year into it like I am. Before we can paint our new doors, we definitely need to seal it up with some primer because, as you guys saw, they are made of MDF, so these are super porous. So I ended up doing 2 coats of that primer, and then we're gonna go ahead and paint these babies the same color as the dresser. This is gonna keep things looking super cohesive and very custom, and I ended up doing 2 coats of that paint and just followed up with a top coat for protection. Are you guys tired of watching me paint yet? Because I'm tired of painting.
Better than my painting.
That's why you're not the one doing it. Okay, you guys, it is finally time to put everything together today. Everything is dry now, and I can't wait to get everything into place today. And also, I'm just excited to clear stuff out because this is what it's looking like in the basement right now. Things are kind of just everywhere, so it's gonna give me a little peace of mind to finally get everything into place. I added some hinges to the top and bottom sides on both of those doors, and once attached, this was looking really good. I ended up just attaching one of the doors on first just so that it would be easier to install. So I got Brian to come and help me put the cabinet onto the wall. We just screwed those into the studs to keep it in place. I was just getting so excited at this point, but I do need your help on the next phase of the workshop. So I'm debating between adding shelves on the other side or adding on another cabinet similar to this one just to make it symmetrical. I'm leaning more towards the shelves, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, you guys, the gas meter is officially being hidden behind our beautiful new cabinet. I'm gonna put a picture here of what it looked like before. Looks a million times better. And I also am going to add little magnet catches here so that it closes and stays put. It's finally time to hang up the pin board, so I added some D-rings to the back of the board, and to hang it up, I made sure to use some painter's tape. This is a great hack because once you mark it off, you can level it onto the wall. That way you know exactly where to drill. P.S. I really want to try to figure out how to frame this pin board. Since it is curved, it's a little bit trickier to do this, so if you guys have any ideas or know how I could do this, please help me out. Okay, so the drawers are in and I love this green and wood combo. I just think it looks so good, but I do need your help. So I got these from Amazon and I love that they're a little bit more modern looking, and then these are the original ones that it came with. Obviously it matches the wood perfectly and I was really hoping this would match as well, but as you can see it is a little bit darker. I think I'm gonna go with these knobs even though they don't match the pine, but let me know in the comments below if you guys think I should just stain the wood, that way it matches as closely as possible. Right now I don't think it looks that bad at all. Online though, these look like pine, so I didn't think that I would have to match these, but let me know. Alright guys, so everything is in place. I'm going to style it just a little bit so that you guys can get a better idea of what this is going to look like once it's finished. And then I will show you guys an updated final look. What once was a big, open, messy space is now being transformed into my own little creative corner. This basement workshop sure has come a long way and we are just one step closer to finishing it. I'm just loving how much brighter and more inspiring it already feels in here. It is coming together so well and I cannot wait to complete it soon. Can you even believe that this is my workshop? I can't believe I get to work in here and this is just the beginning. Just looking at the background behind me in my viewfinder is making me so happy and I hope you guys are loving this makeover so far. I still need your help on figuring out what to do with the rest of the space. So as you can see, there's this huge empty area right here. I don't know if I should make another one of the cabinets or if I should do some open shelving right along here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to stay tuned because there's more to come in this space. So if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe down below. I also want to thank First Living again for sponsoring this video. Make sure to click on my link below to get $400 off a mattress as well as 2 free pillows. All that info is going to be in the description box as well as links to my Instagram. So if you haven't already followed me, make sure to follow me for behind the scenes. I post on there every single day and I would love to have you there as well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay inspired and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!